day this has been. So I'm sure pretty much all of you that clicked on this video already know about what's happened with the Dr. Disrespect situation. To catch you up to speed with the briefest previously on Dragon Ball Z recap, Dr. Disrespect was the face of Twitch. In 2020, he was mysteriously banned from the platform and not a peep had ever been uttered about why. This was a secret more guarded than the Krabby Patty formula. I really thought we'd never know the reason that Dr. Disrespect was banned. I thought that'd be taken to the grave. I thought we'd crack faster than light travel before we ever learned what the reason behind it was. But then from out of nowhere on just an average quiet Friday night, a former Twitch employee dropped a bombshell allegation claiming that Dr. Disrespect was banned due to sexting a minor through the Twitch Whispers service. Now, there was never any screenshots or evidence provided to support that claim. However, some other parties came forward saying that they had all heard a similar reason behind the ban. Dr. Disrespect then made a response to that statement, which was less than satisfactory for most people with a functioning frontal lobe because he talked very vaguely about it and didn't actually outright deny the claim at all. So then he made a follow-up statement which aimed to provide a little more clarity, but it was still pretty vague, and both of these seemed to have like a lot of legalese talk to him to try, like, kind of tiptoe around the topic itself. So both of his responses, like the tweets, weren't received overly well. It was like he just kept stepping on a rake like in a cartoon and hitting himself in the face. He wasn't doing himself favors with his statements. But then the credibility of the source of behind this allegation started to be called into question because people did digging through their Twitter and found out they'd actually been dangling this carrot in front of their audience about they know the reason Dr. Disrespect's been banned, and if you buy tickets to their concert, they might reveal it. So then people started to question that, and then today, Dr. Disrespect released another statement where he admitted to the claim of talking to a minor through Twitch Whispers inappropriately. However, he denies that there was any real intent behind the messages, which is a crazy thing to say. Like, if any of you have watched To Catch a Predator, you'll recognize that tactic, that little maneuver right there, because that's something that was pretty frequent on that show. When a predator went down and talked with Chris Hansen, a lot of them said that same thing pretty much. Like, oh, no, I didn't mean any of that. I was actually just teaching them a lesson about talking to strangers and the dangers of it. There was never any real intent behind the things that were said. Like, that's a very weird thing to try and say. So let's just go through his statement first, though. The Twitch ban. Hello, I'd like to make a statement. Let's cut the bullshit. As you know, there's no filter with me. I've always been upfront and real with you guys on anything that I can be upfront about, and I'm always willing to accept responsibility, which is why I'm here now. First and foremost, I do want to apologize to everyone in my community, as well as those close to me, my team, and everyone at Midnight Society Game Studio. For those that don't know, I forgot to mention this in my, lore exposition on this. His company that he founded, Midnight Society Game Studio, which had been working on a game with him for a long time, announced yesterday that they were going to be terminating him after they conducted an investigation, and after they assumed his innocence, found something through their investigation that made them uncomfortable keeping him around, so they let him go. So that's why he's mentioning them here. A lot of people have been left in the dark about what happened yesterday with Midnight Society and I, and we made the painful decision collectively to have me step down. Our team is full of incredibly talented and good people that have high career ambitions and families. I'd never want to jeopardize the culture we have carefully crafted. Now, before getting into the rest of this, I do want to mention, Midnight Society themselves said that he was terminated. Here he's saying that he stepped down like it was a mutual decision. I don't know if this is like a you can't fire me, I quit type of situation, you know, turn in the badge and the gun and go your separate way as a lone wolf, or what? Like, there's just a bit of a discrepancy whether he was terminated by Midnight Society or if he himself and them left on good terms where he agreed to step down. Ultimately, the point is, he's no longer associated with that studio anymore after they conducted their own investigation into the subject. Everyone has been wanting to know why I was banned from Twitch, but for reasons outside of my control, I was not allowed to say anything for the last several years. Now that two former Twitch employees have publicly disclosed the accusations, I can now tell you my side of the story regarding the ban. Were there Twitch Whisper messages with an individual minor back in 2017? The answer is yes. Were there real intentions behind these messages? The answer is absolutely not. These were casual, mutual conversations that sometimes leaned too much in the direction of being inappropriate, but nothing more. Nothing illegal happened, no pictures were shared, no crimes were committed, I never even met the individual. I went through a lengthy arbitration regarding a civil dispute with Twitch, and that case was resolved by a settlement. Let me be clear, it was not a criminal case against me, and no criminal charges have ever been brought against me. Now, the doc actually edited this statement twice. So initially, he posted it with the word minor in it, saying, were there messages with an individual minor? The answer is yes. But then shortly after he published it, he edited the word minor out of it. So he removed that. He redacted it like a fucking CIA document, trying to bury it, just snapping it out of existence. So then it read, were there messages with an individual? The answer is yes. But people were quick to notice the edit, and you can actually check edit history on Twitter, which I didn't know you can do, but you could clearly see that the original no longer matched the current one because he took the word minor out. So when people caught him red-handed, he just edited it one more time to put the word minor back into it. Now, there is a lot to say about just that small chunk right there, but I'm going to finish reading the statement first before we really dive into the weeds of it. Now, from a moral standpoint, I'll absolutely take responsibility. I should have never entertained these conversations to begin with. That's on me. That's on me as an adult, a husband, and a father. It should have never happened. I get it. I'm not perfect, and I'll fucking own my shit. This was stupid. Now, with all this said, don't get it mistaken. I've seen all the remarks and labels being thrown around so loosely. Social media is a destruction zone. I'm no predator or pedophile. Are you kidding me? Anyone that truly knows me knows where I stand on these things with those type of people. Fuck that. That's a different level of disgust that I hate even hearing about. Don't be labeling me as the worst of the worst with your exaggerations. Get the fuck out of here with that. But I think I've said what I needed to say regarding the ban itself. That's it. That's why Twitch made the decision in 2020. To my team, community, industry friends that have supported me, I apologize. I wish I could have said all this sooner. You guys have always shown me and my family love and support throughout all these years. We love you guys like you can't imagine. I have the best community and circle. If any of this has made you uncomfortable, I get it. You don't have to support me anymore, but just know you have always been greatly appreciated. Trust me when I say this. To all my haters that live and breathe social media with zero real-life experience, I don't give a fuck about you. Finally, if you're uncomfortable with this entire statement and think I'm a piece of shit, that's fine. I'm not going anywhere. Actual Wolf of Wall Street energy. I'm not fucking leaving. And I'm not the same guy that made this statement all those years ago. I'm taking an extended vacation with my family as mentioned on stream, and I'm coming back with a heavy weight off my shoulders. They want me to disappear. Yeah, fucking right. He tries to close this statement with a really hard, cheesy 80s action movie one-liner. They want me to disappear. Yeah, fucking right. Granny shifting, not double clutching like you should. You're lucky you didn't blow the welds off the intake. I'm not leaving. It's really kind of ridiculous to put that there with accusations like this. These are super serious. Like, this isn't something people take lightly at all. In his own statement, he has openly admitted to messaging a minor and had conversations that were inappropriate, or as he said, leaned into being inappropriate. Now, what's not clear, and what a lot of people are coping with, is that maybe Dr. Disrespect didn't know the age of the person he was communicating with, but I truly feel if that was the case, Dr. Disrespect would have mentioned that, saying that he had those communications with this person that he believed was of age but turned out to be a minor. I think if that was the reality of that situation, if he truly communicated with someone that he thought was of age but turned out to be a minor, I think he would have mentioned that in this statement, but he didn't. He didn't say that he was under the impression he was communicating with an adult. He just says that he had conversations with an individual minor. He doesn't say anything like, oh, they were actually one day away from being 18, or I really thought they were, in their 20s, or anything like that. And I think if that was what happened, it would have been mentioned here. I really do. But there's no mention of that. So it's hard to give that benefit of the doubt that he didn't know, because I think he would have mentioned if that was the case. I also think it's pretty telling that some of the closest people to Dr. Disrespect are coming forward saying how unacceptable it was and distancing themselves from him, because if he didn't know that he was communicating with a minor, he probably would have told them at the very least, but they're not saying that either. So here's Robert Bowling, one of his business partners here, saying, if you inappropriately message a minor, I cannot work with you, period. I promised to only act on facts, and I did. So I just really don't think there's a whole lot of wiggle room about Doc not knowing that he was communicating with a minor. Like, I feel like there's been plenty of opportunities now for that information to have come out from somewhere, but nobody is saying that other than people theorizing and hoping that maybe that's the case. But Doc himself has never said that that was a possibility. He'd never even hinted that he didn't know the person's age, and the people closest to him aren't saying that either. So I really think that it's likely that he did know that, and he still had these conversations that leaned to being inappropriate with someone he knew to be a minor, which is fucking disgusting. Now, there are people still defending this, saying, well, he didn't go to jail for it, so what's the big deal? Can't wait for the next stream, Doc. Firm handshakes. Like, there's people that are just dismissing this as not a big deal, which is insanity. I think that is pure lunacy. I can't fucking believe some of what I'm reading here from people that are just writing this off as not a big deal because it's a streamer they like. An adult communicating inappropriately with a minor is bad. Full stop. It's inexcusable. No matter how you spin it, that is a horrible thing. Now, he may not have met up with the minor in question. However, was that his decision? Was he the one that decided not to meet up with him? Because with the information that's been come out, now, again, keep in mind, we don't have access to the chat log, like the conversations that took place, but from all the sources that have come out from, like, Bloomberg and all of that, it sounds like the conversation they had did talk about meeting up at TwitchCon. So, that right there shows pretty real intent to meet up with this person. And who knows, maybe it was the minor that ultimately got uncomfortable with this whole thing and called it off, not the doc. We don't know for sure. The only thing we do know for sure with what the doc just confirmed is that he was talking inappropriately with a minor, which is a terrible, terrible thing. And even his closest friends are saying they can't defend it, it's inexcusable. And they're right. It is inexcusable. But there are still people trying to defend it, as pathetic as that is. And Dr. Disrespect claims that he's going to come back at some point. And I have no doubt when he does, he's still going to have a massive audience. I can already tell, based on the amount of people jumping through hoops trying to find ways of justifying this and spinning it in ways where he doesn't look evil. Which is impossible, but they're doing their best. So I know when he comes back, he will probably have tons of viewers and tons of donations out the fucking wazoo, saying things like, keep your head up, Doc, don't let cancel culture get you down. It's just a fucking cancel culture mob that came after you. You're a victim of that mob, that's it. Which is just so unhinged. He has openly admitted, in his own words, to inappropriately talking to a minor. It's just craziness. So, that's the update to this whole Dr. Disrespect ban situation. That's really just keep twisting my arm. You got me in a full Nelson here, demanding that I speak about this situation. So, you know what? I'll do it. YandereDev. A very infamous name on the internet. He is responsible for the game Yandere Simulator. That might ring some bells or pour some salt into an old wound if you've been around the YouTube Let's Play scene for a while. This is a game that blew up online because some of the biggest channels on the platform played it. In a nutshell, the game is basically Naughty Bear, but set in a Japanese high school. You just assassinate a bunch of high school girls, and it promised unlimited features. This game was basically going to be Life 2. YandereDev's ambition was unlike anything in the world. He was like a black hole just constantly trying to absorb everything and put it into his game. So it never actually fully came out. It has only ever existed in like testing states, you know, it's still in a primitive state, not fully released. You know, there's things in there that are extremely degenerate. Like I remember there was a big controversy about like the upskirt panty shots you can do in the game. It's just a very odd experience, and the developer behind it is even more odd, YandereDev. Over the course of 8 years, he did more damage to his reputation than Activision Blizzard. His online presence became a joke to a lot of people and achieved the status of a lolcow. I'm not here to just like go down memory lane with every controversy and everything that's happened along the journey, but it's important to set the stage here for what's currently going on with YandereDev. So over the course of 8 years, everyone has paid attention to every single minute that this guy has broadcast his life online, as well as the way he conducts himself with his fans, and it's led to a lot of less than savory things being revealed. And this past week has been the worst week for him, when a lot of screenshots came out from Snapchat conversations, as well as some other very serious allegations levied against him, all hit the public eye. So this one here has been making the rounds. You're the one traumatizing me. That's allegedly YandereDev, cosplay fan. And they say, I'm sorry. And then he goes, this here is trauma. This is abuse. This is power imbalance. I am being emotionally abused by you. To which they respond, I'm 16. And then he goes, you have this massive blackmail over me. You're 35. And when I first saw this, it gave me a hearty belly laugh like Santa Claus. What an unbelievably creepy, concerning exchange. Now, he has made a response to all of this saying, you know, it's unwise choices he's been making as a result of deteriorating mental health over the years. And he is owning up to him being responsible for these things. Like, he's not trying to say, yeah, it's deep faked. This is all, you know, a deep state operation to frame him because big AAA titles are afraid of Yandere Simulator being released. He's not going with any of those angles. He's not, you know, trying to make it sound like all of this is, you know, a lie. He is owning up to it, but it's not like that makes it any better. This is still some predatory, disgusting behavior that rightfully got him a lot of shit tossed his way for all of it. There was a lot more that came out of it, but I just wanted to highlight that one off rip just because of how ridiculous it is. But anyway, I have actually talked about this on stream a little bit, and most recently on the podcast. And I want to take this opportunity to just let everyone here know that the official podcast will no longer be posted to my channel here. We're making its own separate channel. We have already made its own separate channel called the official channel, where the podcast will go up, as well as shorter content with the crew, as well as new shows like a cryptid hunting show that Jackson and I are doing with Windagoon, as well as a show that Jackson and Kaya do together with To Catch a Predator. Just a lot of different types of content will be going on there, so it just made sense to spin it off from here to its own channel. So if you're a fan of the official podcast, it's going to be posted there from now on, as well as still audio platforms. I want to show you some of the clips from our conversation about YandereDev with this specific situation, the most recent one, but during the actual episode, we talked far more in depth on his entire history with the development as well as past controversies too. I don't know how many of you followed along with YandereDev development, but man, was it a fucking train wreck. Just a complete disaster. Before playing that though, I do want to set the record straight on something that I said during the episode. I mentioned one of the screenshots that leaked was this Discord DM here. This was making its rounds all over the internet during the dam breaking of all of the creepy messages and exchanges YandereDev had with fans and inappropriate dialogue that he had with his underage fans. So this one says, YandereDev, happy 12th birthday, to which the person says, thank you. That's a big age for a young woman. Has your period started yet? I don't know if I feel comfortable answering that. It's fine, I'll keep it a secret. After sending that last message, that's when the tear gas busts through the window and the FBI's rappelling down into the house to apprehend the suspect. That is some scary, deplorable shit here. But after looking into it a bit deeper over the last couple days, this one might actually just be an impersonator who threw this into the mix to muddy the water and try and, like, capitalize off, like, the viral nature of the story. This screenshot is still being debated on whether it's real or not, and from all the evidence presented, I'm leaning towards this being an impersonator. I don't think this is actual YandereDev that had this exchange here. This seems like someone that was just trying to continue to pile more and more things on there, even though this one wasn't actually them.
What's wrong, Andrew?
Yeah, my world's crumbling around me, Jackson, you know.
What?
Andrew said because YandereDev got caught being a creep.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with that. Thank you, Kaya.
That was his hero, yeah.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
So he got caught talking inappropriately with underaged fans.
The classic.
Yeah.
The gold standard for weird internet people.
It's always who you least suspect as well.
Well, hang on.
Yeah.
Have you seen YandereDev?
He was just being sarcastic.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm tired. I didn't pick up on it.
He had a bunch of his DMs from Snapchat and Discord and everything hit the public ecosystem. He then made a blog post confirming that they're him. He even said something like, this isn't like me, but I'm going to take responsibility. Yeah, I fucked up. Well, there was. So, like, his most famous one right now is through Snapchat. He was like, you see, 17 is actually 94.4% of the way to 18. So, technically, it's 94.4% okay for me to be, like, attracted to a 17-year-old or whatever. Yeah, not to really get into the nitty gritty of the calculations, but he had a lot of them come out. Another big one was he sent a Snapchat to someone. He's like, "This is abuse. This is a power dynamic abuse. You are abusing me emotionally and physically with this trauma." And their response is, "I'm 16." And he goes, "Abuse." And then they go, "You're 35."
Holy shit.
It was like that, but it was like he was complaining about the power imbalance.
Yeah, for them.
In the relationship.
Wait, he was complaining?
Well, yeah, because she had all this evidence on him, him being a creepy pedophile, and he's like, "There's a power imbalance here. This is unfair. This is abuse." And then she's like, "I'm 16.
How dare you record me doing these things that I did on my own? What a fucking idiot.
So fucking funny.
I like his goofy ass attempts at math in the middle of it. Like, oh, actually, he sounds like those guys who always have some sort of a semantics wordplay. Like, oh, actually, technically, I'm not a pedophile. I'm an ephebophile, according to the dictionary. It's like, okay, whatever. Point is, you're a creep.
So much better.
Kinda, not, nah. He's not. He doesn't talk like an anime villain or hero. He just so formal. He wants to sound formal in his tone of voice, but all he says is just the dumbest. Okay, here, I'll read from his blog. I let the fans down. I keep saying that to myself over and over. Years of trying my best to prove that I'm not the bad guy that people say I am. And then I go and screw up so badly that I've retroactively vindicated some of the hate that has been directed at me. It's ironic. I've always tried so hard to disprove the hateful remark. And then he just goes on and on and on.
Wait, so you're saying like, oh, people have called me a pedophile for 7 years, and I tried my best not to prove them right.
Look, just because they were right doesn't mean they were right, okay?
It's been 9 years of people calling me mean names, and now I've deserved it. They just don't understand the difference between pedophile and Habiba Opophile. Whatever the fuck it is.
He also did the classic, oops, I got caught. Please don't hate me here. I give to charity dance routine where he donated $1,000 to Rain. RAINN, which is, I don't know what that is actually.
That's a pretty funny way to pay for being a pedophile, I guess.
It's the anti-sexual violence organization Rain. That's good, I guess.
He didn't mention that he also sent $1,000 to Nambler though as well.
Balanced, as all things should. Learned about one of the most bafflingly unhinged criminal cases I've ever read or watched. And it's honestly made me disappointed in all of you for not making me aware of this situation sooner. Shame on you in particular for hoarding this filth to yourself and not letting me into the lunch table to learn about it with you. I'm talking about the wild case of Nicholas Alaverdian, otherwise known as Nicholas Rossi, aka Arthur Knight. This man's got more names than a phone book. He goes by many different gamer tags. I wouldn't be surprised if more aliases come to light and there's shit like Dark Ruler 52XX or something. And his story in this whole situation is an unbelievable, true story of absolute lunacy. Dateline recently ran a piece on the Nicholas Alaverdian situation, trying to untangle all of the wild web of mysteries that have been woven here. It is just vile, evil shit. Nicholas is a degenerate worm of a person, but he's also a goofball goober who came up with the dumbest idea ever when he was confronted with the reality of his crimes that he is accused of committing. He is accused of extremely serious charges. He is accused of raping multiple women in Utah. And he came up with this galaxy brain scheme in order to escape the repercussions. He faked his own death. He must have been inspired by Dino Spumoni from Hey Arnold, when Dino Spumoni faked his own death to increase record sales or whatever. But in this case, it was a lot darker than that. He faked his own death to get away from rape charges, and then he fled the United States. He was recently put back on the radar after he checked himself into a hospital for COVID-related symptoms. Eventually, pieces of this puzzle started falling into place, and authorities were able to connect the dots that, this guy claiming to be Arthur Knight may actually be this wanted fugitive that the US really wants to have extradited. And that's led to about a year-long battle with Nicholas Alaverdian or Arthur Knight or Nicholas Rossi in order to have him face justice for his actions. I'm going to go ahead and play you a quick clip from 5 months ago when a different news organization was covering the basics of the story, just to give you a more concise breakdown than what I just provided.
It was breaking news on 12 News this morning. A Scottish court has ruled that a man who goes by the name Arthur Knight is actually a Rhode Island man who faked his own death and is wanted on rape charges.
Kate, Nicholas Aliverdian, also known as Nicholas Rossi, claimed to have been the victim of mistaken identity and insisted his name was Arthur Knight. A court in Scotland ruled that evidence showed that was not the truth.
The person appearing before me is Nicholas Rossi, the person whose extradition is requested by the United States.
35-year-old Nicholas Aliverdian was arrested last year after checking himself into a Scotland hospital with COVID-19 symptoms.
So it's been this ongoing battle where he is claiming that it's a case of mistaken identity. He is not that guy wanted for rape charges. This is a huge misunderstanding. Everything's all cattywampus. You got it all wrong. That's an innocent man right there. Unironically pulling the old cartoon gag of wearing like glasses and a fake mustache and pretending that you're not the person of interest. Like the ultimate disguise.
In July, Knight was arrested again, and prosecutors matched his fingerprints to Aliverdian's. Friday, prosecutors of the Scottish court revealed they were able to tell he was Aliverdian after matching the tattoos on his arm.
I am ultimately satisfied on the balance of probabilities.
Aliverdian is accused of raping 2 women in Utah and sexually assaulting another in 2008.
I wanted to include that section from the broadcast because I didn't want to leave any wiggle room for some pseudo-intellectuals on Twitter to try and make some brain-dead argument about how the authorities got it wrong. They did do their due diligence in gathering evidence to try and confirm that these are the same person, that Arthur Knight is not real. That is not an innocent man. It is the same man who was wanted for those rape crimes. Like, it is not a case of, well, maybe they just didn't do enough. It's not like they just had one investigator, pounding cheeseburgers and wiping the grease on like some papers of Nicholas Aliverdian, and then he saw that after looking at a picture of Arthur Knight and he's like, Eureka, it's the same person, they look similar. That wasn't the case. They have the fingerprint evidence, they also match tattoos, they do have a good bit on their side to lend validity to the claim that this is the same person. But if you're still not sold on that, maybe the interview will be enough to get you on the right side of history here, because they have an interview with Arthur Knight, and it is one of the wackiest clips I've ever seen in a criminal case in all my days. It is gold. It is absolutely fucking extravagant. This is like some thespian A-tier acting.
We were once a normal family, but thanks to the media, our lives have been interrupted. And we'd like privacy, and I would like to go back to being a normal husband. But I can't, because I can't breathe, I can't walk. People say that's an act. Let me try to stand up. Let me try to stand up. Exactly, exactly.
What do you say to someone who believes that you are Nicholas Aliverdian?
I am not, Andrea, I am not Nicholas Aliverdian. I do not know how to make this clear.
What do you say to people who say these are crocodile tears? He's putting on a show. This is all an act.
Oh, Andrea, no, that's a low blow. That's a right low blow.
If this man isn't up for an Oscar this year, then the entire industry is dead and corrupt. Absolute unreal. That is a passionate performance. He is literally performing for his life right now. Like, this is high stakes. This clip is how I found the story, by the way. I thought what I was watching is James Corden's only entertaining piece of content ever. I thought it was James Corden playing a character. And I was like, wow, James Corden actually did a decent job. Like, this made me giggle a little bit. And I was like, holy shit, wait. This is real. Like that whole segment where he's like, oh, you think it's fake that I can't breathe and can't walk? Well, then what do you say to this? As he like miraculously rises. He's like, well, watch this. Whoa! This whole thing really feels like a sketch from Whitest Kids You Know. The whole interview is unintentional brilliance. Also, hats off to his supporting actress here. She also does an amazing job. So, like, when he's going to stand up, she's like, oh god, no, don't do it, you're gonna die! You're just gonna kill him! Like he's about to explode from standing up. She's like, no! As he, like, slowly begins his ascent out of the chair to prove a point. Explain this then, science! Ah, it's so good.
What do you say to someone who believes that you are Nicholas Alaverdian?
I am not, Andrea, I am not Nicholas Alaverdi, and I do not know how to make this clearer.
This segment is also fantastic, very reminiscent of SpongeBob Rock Bottom. I can't understand your accent, except here it's gasps for air. Which of course is all part of the act, but I really appreciate that he's not afraid to draw clear inspiration from other art, such as SpongeBob. So I appreciate that. Also, the Wambulance pulls up and he starts trying to get some tears out. He's not doing a good job of selling the crying. So if I was to critique his performance here, I would say he needs to work on getting tears out because his eyes are very dry. He doesn't actually get any moisture in there. He doesn't get any of his tear ducts firing, so that falls a little flat with the fake tears, but imagine if he was able to pull that off. This would have been a true combo of acting expertise, and it would have been one of the finest performances we've ever seen.
What do you say to people who say these are crocodile tears? He's putting on a show. This is all an act.
Oh,
Andrea,
no,
that's a low blow. That's a right low blow.
What a dynamic duo here. A power couple. The chemistry between them, the synergy, is immaculate. So the interviewer asks, what do you say to people that are saying these are just crocodile tears and you're putting on a show? Without missing a beat, the woman there is like, oh, geez, come on. Have some class. Can't you see this is a broken man we're dealing with? Oh, jeepers. Zoinks, come on now. Where's the professionalism? Really? You're gonna hurt his feelings. And this is the cue to Nicholas to immediately, go fucking hog wild into the fake crying, which he's not great at, but it's complemented by the woman sitting opposite of him to kind of like egg him on and try and be there as like this shoulder to not cry on. So really just a fucking fantastic team they make. What a great pair. Now, unsurprisingly, the great acting here wasn't enough to get him an official pardon or anything, so it's still not looking great for Nicholas Alaverdian at the moment. And here's hoping he will finally face justice for his crimes that he is accused of. This is just an incredibly wacky fucking story, and one that's been, like, many years in the making. Like, I'm shocked I've never heard anything about it, because this really feels like a pretty high-profile case, but maybe I've just been oblivious to it, or it just never really got the mainstream attention, which is just surprising, because it is really weird. The whole thing is very weird. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit after finding the clip and kind of going down the rabbit hole. That's really... What do you think of when you think of kindness? Good deeds, smile on your face, helping others. Maybe you even picture some positive presence in your life, like Mr. Rogers. Well, it's time you throw out everything you think you know about kindness. You see, Dhar fam, real kindness is this face. Dhar is so kind that he has even accepted a formal position at the NFL to be an officer of kindness. That's right, we can all rest a little easier knowing that Dhar is the NFL's first Chief Kindness Officer. Now obviously today is Super Bowl Sunday, and Dhar no doubt going to have his work cut out for him with a bunch of rowdy fans and a lot of tempers flaring based on what's happening in the big game with the pigskin. But I think Dhar up to the task of making sure everyone stays happy and kind. It's like Cupid, but instead of shooting arrows that make people fall in love, he shoots arrows that make people kind to one another. So you might see a Seahawks fan and a Patriots fan arguing, but Dhar will come through, separate them, and say, wait! Why don't we all just get along? And then the two of them will exchange a handshake and maybe even offer each other some money. You see the news about Dhar becoming NFL's Chief Kindness Officer. I keep forgetting to look that up. But yeah, I saw Dhar has been knighted by the NFL, I suppose, as the Kindness Officer. Let me see what that actually means.
3. Would you rather have $100 for yourself or $500 against your teammates?
$500 against my teammates.
Why'd you choose your teammates?
I think they deserve it more than me.
You want to go pass it out? All right, let's do it.
Nice. Spreading kindness. Let's go.
Angazi, you deserve it.
What's up, bro?
So what is I was hoping this would be an explanation on what the fuck the Chief Kindness Officer means. So he just does Mr. Beast style shorts? Now, just to be clear, if he's giving away money to kids and organizations that need it on behalf of the NFL, that's fine. I don't really think you need to have a position, a label as the chief kindness officer. That feels very performative and odd. But if this is something Dhar wanted to do in partnership with the NFL to just give back to, like, the community or, you know, charities, I obviously had no problem with that. I just think this whole, like, chief kindness officer push is very peculiar. Oh, wow, this just came up. The Super Bowl's chief kindness officer had 5 felony charges. Wait, what? Dhar has felony charges? It's an invented honorary position the league made up this year to promote sportsmanship, empathy, and positivity both on and off the field. Essentially, the chief kindness officer is here to make sure everyone are friends and have a good time. This year's chief kindness officer is Dhar. In 2010, he was accused by his business partner of running what he called a hydro-Ponzi scheme when Dhar pulled out of We Grow, a hydroponics cannabis business. In 2012, he was charged with 13 felony counts for defrauding an Oakland City beautification program by submitting fraud. Here, I'm going to just put this on screen. By submitting fraudulent checks that made it appear as though he was paying contractors more than he actually was. The 13 charges were reduced to 5 and he pled no contest. In 2023, this is what I remember, actors employed by Dhar Studios claimed they had poor working conditions and unsustainable pay. Here's something from Dhar on Facebook. Let me see. Maybe he explains it.
And I'm starting the Be Kind to Your Rival challenge, where you have to say something nice about someone who you haven't always seen eye to eye with. And for every person that participates, I'm going to be donating $10 to help kids at St. Jude. So I'm going to choose Mark Wahlberg because, Mark, ever since that day that you invited me to your house to have that crazy leg workout, I was not able to walk for like 2 weeks after that. I had to literally be carried up the stairs. But because I got to say something kind, I will say after that day, it helped me lock in. I've been taking ice baths. I've been in the gym.
You couldn't at least just choose someone that you actually don't like? For your own challenge, you couldn't just choose someone that you actually have a disagreement with? How about the judges who charged you with felonies? Yeah, at the very least, just choose someone you just don't fucking like. That's like the whole point of this, right? Trying to make amends with people from your past that you don't always see eye to eye with. Why are you just choosing your friend who gave you a leg workout? No, Charles, you idiot. He has to humble brag he knows Mark Wahlberg. Ah, you're right. I didn't even stop to think about that. Imagine it was you he picked. That'd go kind of hard, actually. But not me. It'd be Chinese Charles. There's this fucking asshole on Billy that keeps talking all kinds of shit on my productions. Still really trying to find out what his, role with the NFL is for kindness officer. This does not feel related to the NFL in any way. Alright, everyone. Choose someone you don't like and say something nice. And then I'll be donating some money to St. Jude's. I mean, that's great. I mean, just donate 100,000. I think that's great. That's kind. You see, scientists created a universal kidney that can match any blood type. That's nothing. NFL's chief kindness officer Dhar created a smile that can match any face. Now, honestly, the duties of this position still elude me. I don't know if he's going to be like fucking Commissioner Gordon here from, Gotham City, where he's going to be out on the streets doing kind gestures. To me, it seems like this is purely just a PR thing to team up with Dhar, who is massive and has a huge audience, to do little Mr. Beast style shorts and handshake with the NFL saying thanks for sponsoring NFL. It doesn't seem like this is a genuine thing to try and spread positivity or kindness. It seems like it's more just marketing mumbo jumbo here with Dhar face on it. But maybe he is, taking a real role here. And I think if that is the case, I would love to hear from the NFL's chief kindness officer about the latest scandal in the NFL with James Pierce Jr. James Pierce Jr., linebacker for the Falcons, just did something I think, pardon my French, is pretty fucking rude, actually. I think he's a bit of a jerk.
To Falcons. And before that happened, police say Pierce Jr. was at the police station and allegedly involved in a domestic dispute. This video that you see here shows the first round pick of 2025 being brought to the ground by several police officers. Doral police tonight telling us they first heard reports of Pierce Jr. and his girlfriend, WNBA star Rickea Jackson, having an argument at the police station. Investigators say Pierce left in his car, then crashed near Northwest 103rd Avenue and Northwest 66th Street. Pierce Jr. faces 6 charges tonight, 2 counts of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, assault on an officer, stalking, fleeing, and misdemeanor resisting arrest.
Not good. The Falcons put out a statement saying, "We are aware of an incident involving James Pierce Jr. in Miami. We are in the process of gathering more information and will not have any further comment on an open legal matter at this time." Now, I would like to hear from Darman here. I think this is not good. What you just saw on the news there with the officers on top of him like they were trying to recover a fumble, that's no Darman skit. You know, this isn't one of those moments where Darman's bestowing some sage wisdom on us like, treat others the way you want to be treated. And I'd like to hear his perspective as someone who is the preeminent expert on kindness. Anyway, though, as of me making this is a pretty brand spanking new, so there's multiple reports, and some of them conflict in certain cases, but from what I've gathered here, it is alleged that James Pierce Jr. crashed his car into his ex, Rickea Jackson's vehicle. Then, as officers tried to apprehend him, he led them on a police chase that ended with him crashing his car and also hitting an officer as well, which is then where the video kicks in, where they had all the officers on top of him attempting to arrest him. Not good at all. I imagine this is probably the end of his career as a football player and probably the end of his time as a free man for quite a while. Those are some hefty charges, and from what I've been seeing in the reports here, it seems like he was attempting to seriously harm, maybe even kill Rickea Jackson, ramming his car into hers. That can easily kill people. So, very serious shit, very bad stuff, and kind of just wanted to yap about the Darman Chief Kindness Officer because it's kind of silly, and then as I was doing that, this happened, so just decided to talk about all of it. That's really bad. Seems like Batman and I have nothing in common, but nothing could be further from the truth. There is one thing we share, and that is an obsession. Batman is obsessed with justice. I'm obsessed with goofiness. Wherever there is goofiness, I will be there. I'm drawn to it like flies to a porta potty. I can't help myself. If I was one of the founding fathers of the United States of America, the unalienable rights talked about in the Declaration of Independence would have referred to life, liberty, and the pursuit of goofiness. Now, why am I mentioning this? Well, because I have one hell of a story to share with you today that I'm sure all of you are already aware of because it's been memed to death. But I haven't talked about it. And you know what? That just doesn't sit right with me anymore. So let's talk about the massive police scandal that's gone on this week in Tennessee, where 5 officers were fired after it was revealed that it was basically just a fucking porno set at the department. It came out that at least 5 male officers were engaging in sexual relations with a female officer, whom is married, by the way. And they were sending dick pics, taint pics, butthole pics, whatever, all kinds of photos of their genitals, and having sex at the police station on duty, and having girls gone wild type parties. This sounds more like a frat house out of an American Pie movie than it does a department that's supposed to protect and serve the community. The only thing that was being protected was their penises. Maybe. They probably weren't even using condoms. No jimmies. It was probably raw dog. But what they were serving was spaghetti and meatballs. Hold the spaghetti. Just the meatballs. As they were clapping against the cheeks of Officer Megan, whom engaged in many sexual encounters at the department while having a husband. Obviously, that's a pretty horrible thing to do. And it's also very weird that it went on for so long. Just a very weird situation overall. But before I get too deep, there's something else that I think's a little weird. And that's people who don't drink G Fuel. More specifically, they don't drink Divine Peach G Fuel. The most delectable flavor to ever exist. This, I'm pointing in the wrong direction. There we go. But yeah, Divine Peach is the best flavored beverage of all time. It is a fantastic, beautiful energy drink. And there's also a new one right around the corner that you can pre-order now. It's actually a Gundam collab with G Fuel. So they have a new flavor called MS-M31-0 It's a Gundam style flavor, and it is also very, very good. So use code MOIST for 20% off the collector's box for the new Gundam flavor, or code MOIST for 30% off all G Fuel products. You can also click the link in the description below. Now, back to the topic here. This is a pretty fucked up situation. This is why you've probably been seeing her photo on every single meme or piece of content that refers even lightly to cheating. It's because of this story. There's a lot to unpack here, such as like hot tub parties, which a lot of sex, clearly. But one hotspot was actually at the police department's own gym, where a lot of oral sex seemed to be happening there. So I guess this gym membership came with a happy ending. It sounds like more dick was getting sucked at this gym than at the casting couch. Now, like most people with a soul, when I read this story, my heart broke for the husband in this situation, because not only has he been getting cheated on for such a long time, he got cheated on to such a ridiculous degree that it cost his wife her job, which is obviously a big blow to the household income. But buckle your seatbelts, because this is where the ride gets a little bumpy and very interesting. After all this news broke and the husband found out, he made a statement saying that he supports his wife and will stand by her as they work through this problem in their marriage. I'm not here to opine on that. Whatever makes you happiest, I suppose, but goddamn, fucking jinkies. Zoinks, Scoob. I'm wishing their marriage the absolute best. I'm sure any day now she will be announcing her OnlyFans, and I'd wager a guess we might see some cameos, guest appearances from the old boys in blue down at the Tennessee police headquarters there that are now also out of a job. But anyway, yeah, just kind of wanted to go over this story a little bit because it doesn't get goofier than that. I've seen a lot of people saying, you know, why should it matter if the department was fucking each other at the headquarters? Sorry, I had to spit because it's such a stupid thing to think. I'll explain it to you. It's because you shouldn't be having sex at work. This doesn't apply to just something like the police department. This applies everywhere. If I found out my local subway workers were mashing pissers in the back, you know, getting the sloppy salami on the clock, I probably would stop going to that subway. I wouldn't really want to go to that spot anymore. It's just not an appropriate place, time or place, to be engaging in coitus. I think that should be pretty obvious. And if you'd still like to fight me on that point, can we at least agree that at the very least it's rude? I think it's just downright rude. Not only the cheating on your husband, that is, I dare say that's a little more than rude, but the fucking while at work, I mean, come on, please, pardon my language, but you've got to be a real jerk, I said it, to be having sexual intercourse while on the clock. That's not okay, you know? I'll say it, all right? And I don't care who heard me say it. So clearly this situation's fucking wild. I'm also just straight up stunned and blown away by how quickly the officers were let go. Usually when there's any kind of scandal or controversy with police officers, they get a paid vacation for like 6 fucking months and then quietly come back. But in this case, since they fucking soiled the sacred ground of the police headquarters with DNA, fucking cum all over the place. They had more DNA in the department's gym than they had in their evidence lockers, I imagine, with all the oral sex going on there. I guess that was a line that was too far. So they cut them off quick. No paid vacations here. Though I do think a couple other officers were suspended. So there was a lot here. They cleaned house with this scandal. They've got a lot of vacancies now. I think they have 11 vacancies after all of this. So this became this like wild web. Kind of like that SpongeBob episode where he keeps like peeling down wallpaper and there's more dirty diapers behind it and it just keeps going. That's what's happened here in this situation, but with sexual relations while at work that they just kept discovering more and more of. But yeah, anyway, just wanted to talk about this a little bit. That's about it. Everybody, I hope you and your family have a wonderful time of festivities, food, and whatever else you may do to celebrate today. I'm starting my Thanksgiving festivities the way our forefathers intended, by reading through an unbelievably long list of accusations and allegations against a YouTuber named Dream. Massive YouTuber, I'm sure you're familiar with the channel. I don't know how he's celebrating Thanksgiving, but I'll tell you one thing I know he's not thankful for, and it's Twitter. There are at least 100,000 different threads attempting to chronicle every single allegation as well as like the supposed evidence to support all the claims. And this morning, I decided to like finally just take the plunge, fucking cannonball into this cesspool and figure out what exactly he's even being accused of, what the evidence is, trying to make heads or tails of this wild web of things. And Jiminy Christmas, I'll just tell you, sports fans, I'm more confused than a caveman seeing fire for the first time. I've read through so much shit, and then I'll go to another thread, and then it contradicts all the shit I just read, and then there's a whole nother thread about debunking all of this shit, and then I'll finally feel like, okay, I understand what's happening here, but then from out of nowhere, a new challenger enters WrestleMania coming from the top turnbuckle and blasts the whole thing wide open by making some crazy claims about, like, actually the debunking was false, this is a fake account, or, ooh, the initial account that started posting these claims turns out to be completely fake, and here's proof of them admitting that it was all a ruse. And then apparently it's become a very common pastime for people to just make brand new fake accounts and start putting in a bunch of wild allegations on top of all of this to keep muddying the waters. It is so messy. The allegations include grooming, Dream being a pedophile, sending moaning videos through Snapchat to minors. There's a ton of claims, a ton of different things from a ton of different places. And throughout trying to follow all of it as well as the evidence, everything just keeps getting flipped around, and it's been extremely difficult to figure out what you can trust and what you can't. A lot of the claims do seem very believable, and some of the evidence seems credible, but none of it's like 100% concrete proof of anything. I truly believe Dream is a narcissist. I think most people believe that, and I think Dream knows his audience mainly skews towards kids. Dream's audience has always been on the younger side of things, and yet Dream constantly engages with them in very inappropriate ways, such as like posting thirst traps, some of the things he says, like all of that very public and very well documented. I think all of it's very creepy, and I've said that quite a bit in the past. So I think with his history of doing things like that, it makes a lot of the claims have a lot more weight to them because they're much more believable, knowing that Dream publicly does encourage his fans to be parasocial. He does post thirst traps, even knowing that his fans are children, which I personally believe is a creepy thing to do with the audience he has. So when these claims come out, I think a lot of people start to take them at face value because they're like, oh, that sounds like the Dream that I know. This sounds like something Dream might do, so it's probably true. Even though right now a lot of the evidence backing it up isn't the strongest. Even like there is evidence, sure, but it's nothing that 100% condemns him or 100% shows that the claims being made are accurate. Let me give you an example of one that blew up a couple days ago during the whole Dream did what Twitter trend. So Dream was accused of sending moaning videos through Snapchat to minors. And here's the evidence for that. This is allegedly Dream's Snapchat account, but there's nothing actually connecting this account to those videos whatsoever. You can easily just make a fake Dream Snapchat account. There's nothing in those videos that has his face or anything. It's just the sound of someone moaning that resembles Dream's voice. To me, it sounds more like a Shane Dawson moan. I don't listen to a lot of Dream, but when I heard that, I thought for sure this was leaked audio of Shane Dawson when he did that degenerate shit with his cat. These videos just aren't definitive proof of anything. It's a black screen with the sound of somebody moaning. Now that's not to say that this can't be real. It could be Dream. I have no way of knowing for sure one way or the other. It's just right now with what is presented, it's not enough to convince me beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is Dream here. Anyone could be moaning there and just say, look, it's Dream, listen, it's definitely him, but it's just a complete random person doing it. If they really wanted to get wacky with it, they could have grabbed the audio from that classic meme where the guy passes a kidney stone while coming and is like screaming while orgasming. Like that, and then just say, it's Dream, look, and it was sent to a minor. Even though, again, there's also no proof of it being sent to a minor, at least nothing that I can find here for that. So the only proof here is the name, Dream. It's clearly his Snapchat, it must be. And listen to him moan and look at what he said. And then it's just some like really fucking cringe text that seems like it's straight out of the worst written erotica fanfic ever. I'd kiss your neck and tease the shit out of you, run my hand up your body. Your tits are so nice, what the fuck, I just want to fill you up, princess. Oh god. Sickening, vomit-inducing trash there. But I just don't see anything here that proves that this is Dream that sent it A, and Dream that sent it to a minor B. Like, and I also don't, just on a side note, I don't think anyone's ever been so terminally horny that they send a video of them moaning to somebody. That is just so conceptually baffling to me. I don't know if it's commonplace for a dude to do that, but I can't even imagine that. To just send a clip of you moaning to someone would be like the worst jump scare ever. Just, like, oh, are you feeling it now, babe? Like, do you like that one? Like, I can't even imagine that thought process. But again, there just isn't enough here for me to know what is true and what is false. As more and more evidence comes out, I'm sure it'll make it more and more clear. But so far, everything that keeps coming out has 1,000 other things that all try and like contradict it. And it just gets so hard to figure out what's real, what's fake. There is only one small chapter in this massive textbook here that I was able to confirm beyond a shadow of a doubt at least happened and is 100% real. And that's the entire saga of him versus Nicholas Cantu, the voice of Gumball.
10,000, 100,000 of them to take me down. So that's how minuscule you are to my size, right? My stature of intelligence, character, body, and reverence in the world. 1K is better for this pussy who doesn't want to give away his millions. Are you Jewish? No, man, because I'm gonna do movies, stand-up comedy, everything, all the shit. Music, whatever the fuck, e-commerce. You don't understand that you're talking to, like, a Michelangelo.
So, in this anime arc here, for all of the Dream controversy, what happened is Nicholas Cantu and Dream got into a big verbal disagreement. Apparently it even got physical with like Nicholas slapping Dream and this and that. Dream eventually filmed Nicholas in an Uber where he was drunk and high, so cross-faded. According to some of the claims, he was also going through a manic episode. In the video, he starts saying some awful shit. He starts saying slurs too towards Dream. And Dream captures this footage, eventually drops it online, and then goes over the situation. Both people catch a lot of shit here, Dream and Nicholas. However, the internet mainly rallied behind Nicholas against Dream. Dream is not a very well-liked person online for a variety of different reasons. In this case, they cited the fact that he filmed this and then tried to use it as a weapon is an extremely weird thing to do, especially when considering some of the other circumstances at play around this situation. I'm not here to get too deep into the weeds of the Gumball versus Dream stuff here. There's plenty of information out there about it if anyone's curious enough to look into it. The only reason I'm bringing it up here is because out of everything I've been reading so far, this seems to be the only one that I can confirm with 100% certainty this is a legitimate situation that happened as it was described and as it was claimed to have happened. Just like sand, you can see it, you can touch it, you can taste it, it's real, it's there. So there is a lot of proof around this one. This whole situation actually happened. Now, Dream has been anything but silent on this case. He's been engaging directly with all of the shit going on Twitter, and he made a statement saying that it's all false, it's all a lie, and he's making a huge comprehensive video going over each and every component of it. So I guess we'll have to see what he says in that video about everything. Obviously, I don't think he's going to admit to anything, even if it is true, but I think just by having him address it, it'll help figure out what claims even have real validity to them in the first place, because I imagine when tackling these things, he's going to go over the situation, which could help piece together the story, and maybe some of the claims do get proven true from Dream's video, even though he's been trying to make excuses for it. Like, there's no telling. If all of the claims are fake, if all of the claims are true, I have no idea, but all I know for sure is this is a fucking crazy, messy, nearly impossible situation to actually follow and get to the bottom of. So I guess we'll see what happens when he posts this, when he posts his video about this, and go from there. That's about it. We may never know the answer to what happens when we die, What came before the Big Bang? Why am I so short? Why did Dr. Disrespect get banned from Twitch at the height of his popularity in 2020? Dr. Disrespect was the face of Twitch, one of the largest streamers on the platform and one of the largest streamers just in general in the world. And out of nowhere, in 2020, he received a permanent ban, with no elaboration from Twitch's side, nor his. Though he has been somewhat vocal about suing Twitch as a result of getting banned, but he's never explained what the ban was for in the first place. So it's always just been this mystery that's plagued the minds of scholars for the last 4 years. A mystery on par with Area 51. And now, last night, there was a new development in this situation. Now, I want to be very clear, these are still allegations here, but a former Twitch employee on a random Friday night just came out and dropped a fucking bombshell, claiming that Dr. Disrespect got banned because he was caught sexting a minor using the Twitch Whisper system and trying to meet up with them at TwitchCon. An extremely surprising statement that jump-scared the entire streaming community. Like, first of all, I didn't even know people used the Twitch Whisper system. That, in and of itself, was a shock. Twitch Whispers is more archaic than AIM and more useless than flavored toilet paper. It hardly functions. It's a joke of a messaging service. But anyway, these are obviously massive allegations against Dr. Disrespect. Now, they didn't provide any evidence or proof of the claims. However, a lot of other parties, like journalists, came forward saying that they had heard similar things from Twitch employees, like their trusted sources had told them similar stories about the reason behind Dr. Disrespect's ban. But again, no evidence has been provided publicly for all of this. Right now, it's just a lot of people saying, like, this is what we heard too. Dr. Disrespect did reply to a tweet talking about it a little bit, saying, "Jake, seriously, I get it. It's a hot topic, but this has been settled. No wrongdoing was acknowledged, and they paid out the whole contract." The vast majority of people were pretty unsatisfied with that response from the doc, because it's a bunch of hooey, like mumbo-jumbo legal lawyer speak that doesn't actually say anything. Like, instead of saying he didn't do what the claims are, like he didn't sext a minor, he said no wrongdoing was acknowledged, not that no wrongdoing happened. And then mentions that Twitch paid out the whole contract, which I think the reason he threw that in there is to try and illustrate that Twitch ended up settling with him and paid out his whole contract, which must mean that he was in the right legally, I think is what he's getting at, but it's so obtuse and still doesn't shut down the claim that has been made against him. So most people were left scratching their head wondering, well, is it true or not? So about an hour ago, he did make a follow-up tweet here saying, "Listen, I'm obviously tied to legal obligations from the settlement with Twitch, but I just need to say what I can since this is the fucking internet. I didn't do anything wrong. All this has been probed and settled, nothing illegal, no wrongdoing was found, and I was paid. Elden Ring Monday." He definitely provides a little more clarity with this statement. However, I have to wonder what legal obligations have got him like fucking strangled like Homer Simpson around Bart Simpson's neck that are preventing him from just saying he didn't sext a minor if he didn't. He's still kind of talking around it, saying it's been probed and settled, nothing illegal, no wrongdoing was found, he was paid. Instead of just like outright coming out with a fucking iron fist saying, this is baloney, this is a load of horseradish, absolute fish paste, that's not true. Whatever this legal settlement with Twitch was in the Thunderdome here, it's prevented him from being able to talk directly about this claim, it seems, which is so fucking odd. Now, I think it's important I mention just how uncommon it is for Twitch to permanently ban a streamer of any size. Period. That's more rare than a total solar eclipse. It just doesn't happen often at all. There was a streamer who went live and she goatsied herself directly at the camera on Twitch, only got a 72-hour ban. A year or two ago, there was a streamer who had full-blown sex on stream and she only got a 72-hour ban. There's so many streamers that also have like 10 or even 12 bans to their name and still get to stream on Twitch without issue. So a permaban doesn't happen often, and it certainly doesn't happen often to the biggest streamer on their platform, and Dr. Disrespect was under a big contract with Twitch at the time of his ban. So for them to permanently ban him at the height of his popularity while he was the face of their platform with a big contract from them, it had to be something big. And the theory I subscribe to, and the most commonly accepted theory for why he was banned, was that it must have been some kind of big contract dispute. This time period was a wacky one, quite quirky for sure. It's when Mixer was still around, God rest its soul. It went out with a sad, pathetic whimper, a little wet fart into the wind, but at the time, it was a juggernaut, and it was scaring Twitch. It had recently bought Ninja off of Twitch to Mixer. It bought Shroud. And there was a little bit of a panic from Twitch, who then started issuing massive contracts to streamers on their platform to keep them there and away from Mixer. So the idea was that maybe Dr. Disrespect was talking with Mixer about a huge contract buyout, and it pissed Twitch off, so they banned him and wiped their ass with that contract, which led to Dr. Disrespect suing them for it, but Twitch, in the settlement, made sure that he kept his mouth shut about it. That was the main theory most people believed, again, myself included, and now this has come out. And again, there's no evidence to support the claims, but with a handful of other people coming forward saying they heard a similar reason behind his ban, it's got a lot of people believing that it must be accurate. Now, if it is true, it does also make Twitch look pretty bad here, in my opinion, because this is a situation that deals with child safety on their platform, and if the face of their platform was sexting a minor through their Whispers service, I think Twitch has a responsibility to explain what they're going to do going forward to ensure that kind of shit doesn't happen again. Though I guess there could again be some real fucky nonsense in the legal proceedings that followed. I have no clue, really. But in the event that it is true, it still makes it seem like Twitch was covering up for the face of their platform being a predator. And that's not a good look for Twitch. So I guess it's also possible that Twitch wanted to bury this as well, to not take some kind of reputational hit in the public eye. Especially, I guess, during 2020 when Mixer was around. So I guess that's possible. I do, however, think now that this allegation has come out, whether it's true or false, I think this is going to be the start of the information around the ban coming forward, either from Twitch or Dr. Disrespect here, because this is such a massive allegation. So someone's going to come forward to set the record straight one way or the other is what I think will probably happen here, but I could be totally wrong. It could be another 4 fucking years before there's even a peep about the Dr. Disrespect Twitch ban mystery. But something I've seen a lot of other people talking about is they're surprised that Twitch was reading Whispers in the first place. I don't think anyone should be caught off guard by that. In the current day and age, everything you send through any service can easily be accessed by that service and is most likely being accessed by that service. All of your data is constantly being harvested and sold. I thought everyone knew that by this point. So in this case, Twitch having access to the Whispers and reading them and then taking action from them isn't like an unheard of concept at all. It's just a matter of not that's the reality of what happened, if this is a true claim or not. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to go over where everything's at right now. It's kind of just a complete mess, so I guess we'll see as the story develops. That's really about it.